What's up? What's up?
Yo.
What's up, you guys? How y'all doing today? Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. Hey, Tanya.
Hey.
You excited?
Maybe not.
Maybe
not.
What's the not? What's the maybe? I don't like the negative, so what's the maybe? Maybe you're excited. Maybe you're excited. I'm excited. Negative.
Really, bro?
Yep, I'm turning your Wi-Fi up over here to make sure we don't have interruptions. Welcome, you guys, to Ariadne Coded Group. My name is Ashley Denmark.
And my name is Antonio Denmark.
We are your trainers. We're your teachers today. We want to welcome you into the room. This group is for...
We're your teachers today?
We're your teachers today, yeah. You're your coaches today. This group is for new and aspiring investors, people who are looking to get off the sideline, get into the game, trying to stop making their wheels spin, or trying to get their hand on their rehab and really understand it. Antonia and I have been doing this since 2009, and we've been where you are. We've shared some of your same exact scars, some more, some less. And we are here to guide you. We are here to help you so that you are doing it and you're successful. All right. Today's training I'm super excited about because I don't have to do that much talking. It's Antonio's training. But nevertheless, y'all know I just can't stop talking. So I'm gonna do my gap. I'm gonna do my thing. How you doing?
You gotta ask me that.
Okay, how you doing there?
What's
up, Karen? What's up, Ford? You're feeling what?
A little worse now.
Because I put you in the spot. Hey, Kieta. Hey, Martisa. Hey, happy birthday, Joe. Let's go. I'm super geeked. I hope you guys are geeked. Let me say this. If you are watching live, make sure you put live in the comments so that I know you're watching it live. If you're watching it replay, put replay in the chat. All right? You ready, Tanya?
I really got a choice at this point.
No.
Like if I say I'm not ready, are you gonna do something different?
Martisa said, hey, Karen. Hey, Gloria.
Martisa, I need to see y'all at Dynamic Funding, you and Mr. Rod.
Yep. That is on June 21st. June 21st.
That means you don't have it loaded.
I didn't know why you were. Y'all, Tanya just elbowed me.
I did not elbow
me. My hands cracked all at the same time. All right, let's do it. I see your lives.
You don't got Dynamic Funding?
Absolutely. I see your lives. Yeah, I do. That's the wrong one, for sure.
Private zone protection.
Damn.
We believe in partnership. There's time, there's talent, and there's treasure. First thing you need to do is identify what you have. And once you identify what you have, start looking for other people that don't have what you have. A lot of the things you hear us do, a lot of the things that we talk about, they're from experiences.
We want you to get creative. We want you to think outside the box because that's really where it lies. go. Karen says she's coming in August. Let's
Yes.
go. Let's go.
Because
Let's
the
go.
Birmingham was such a good success, we actually squeezed in another Birmingham date and we put it on a Saturday because a lot of people said they couldn't make it during the week.
Mhm.
So take advantage of this Saturday opportunity. We don't do many Saturdays, y'all. And just to be honest with y'all, I'll tell y'all why we don't do Saturdays because that's family time for us.
Yeah.
So take advantage of this time that we are doing Saturday. I don't know if we'll do another event this year on a Saturday. So make a sacrifice, get in the room. Let's learn something.
Get in the room. All right, all right. Come on in the room. I see you guys. I see everyone that put live because you are watching it live. Thank you for putting that in the chat. Today's training, we are talking about managing contractors, the easy peasy way to manage contractors. The most important technique that you can ever have when it comes
I don't want to start it.
you
All right.
interrupted my flow.
So this is where I want to start. All right. The thing about contractors is you have to understand that there is a triangle. All right. It's probably one of the most important things from a mental standpoint that's going to help you with your rehab project. You got to understand that there's a triangle when it comes to contractors. All right. For contractors, you have price, you have quality, and you have time. And we're going slow on our internet right now. You know,
Go ahead.
All right. Price, quality, and time. All right. Understand that in that triangle, you are never going to get all 3 points that you want. All right. And what I mean by that is you're not going to find the cheapest person that has the best quality that can do your project right away. It's not going to happen. Right. And a lot of people set themselves up for failure from the beginning looking for that person. Their expectations are totally wrong when it comes to looking for a contract. All right. The best advice that I can give you is find somebody that's strong in 2 of the 3 areas and work with the 3rd area. I'm not telling you to just accept anything in that 3rd area. I'm just telling you that if you find a contractor that got 2 of the 3, it's not a bad contractor right here.
Right. That just made me think about one of our students. He got a really, really great price on pouring his driveway, concrete in his driveway. But it took about 3 weeks to get the contractor out. And it was because he had 2 of those 3 qualities. He had a good price, he had quality work, so his timing was bad. So you're going to pick which one. If you're on a crunch for time, then you got to find somebody with good timing. If money is not an object, then you find someone with good timing and good quality because money isn't an object for you. So I think piggybacking on what Antonio said, find out what's important to you. What can you slack off of in order to make it work? Meaning, if you have the budget and money is an issue, then guess what? You don't have to find the cheapest person to do it. You can find the person that has the quality. You can find the person that has the time to do it. If time is not an issue to you because you're starting them early in the project and you're expecting your project to take 30 to 45 days, then you're going to find someone with quality and for a good price because you're giving them enough time to do the task. All right.
Let's go. And for quality, because you did 2 of them. If let's say you're doing a rental property in a low end area, you might not be as hell bent on quality. You just might want it done fast and for a good price. So each project is going to be different. Each subcategory within the project can be different. So it's more so a mental mindset that has to adjust because you're not going to find that. Let me rephrase that. That person that's got high quality, that person that can do it right away, they gonna cost. That person not cheap, y'all. That person know their work. So understand you gotta pick which one is best for you. All right. So that's the first thing I want to make sure you understand when you're out here looking at contractors. And there's a place for all of them. It's just a matter of where it in your project.
Absolutely. A lot of people think that finding the deal is the most important technique that you have to master when it comes to real estate. But I totally disagree with it. And I think Antonio disagrees as well. It is not finding the deal. Finding the deal is important, but making sure you stay within your budget. And that involves working with your contractors, all right? Managing your contractors, managing the project so that you can get things done. So I think the most important technique is literally, how do I manage my contractors? How do I make sure that I am in the time frame that I need to be in? How do I make sure that I am in control versus being told what to do? Because I am the investor in the deal.
Yes. Where I would say starting with managing your contractor is with your contract. All right.
Mhm.
Do not do a project if you do not have a contract in place, whether it's a big project or a small project. Make sure you have a contract in place. Make sure that in that contract you have a scope of work. Make sure in that contract you have a draw process, meaning at what point do they get paid. Make sure in that scope of work they have their insurance. Make sure in that scope of work. What's wrong?
They have their deadlines. No, I was thinking, I was processing.
Okay. You got to start and finish date. Like your contract is so important to managing your contractors, because once they get into a project, they get amnesia. All right.
And sometimes we get amnesia too. We forget exactly what did we say do. Did we say change out the front door, or did we leave that off? Did we say paint the insides of the cabinets, or did we leave that off? Did we say pressure wash the driveway, or did we leave that off? Like, we get amnesia, and it's not all their fault. Everybody gets amnesia. That's why it's important to document it and put it in the contract, so that way no one is guessing, trying to figure out, now what did we talk about? No, this is what we talked about. This is what is covered in the amount, and this is the timeline. A lot of people, I've had quite a few people where it's a handshake thing, like, oh yeah, you gonna start on this day? Yeah, all right. But then what happens is that amnesia kicks in, there's a change order, and that change order, and you're like, wait, I thought we already included this, but nothing's in writing, nothing's set in stone. Or they don't show up to the project for 15 days, 2 weeks, and now you are trying to replace them, but you never put it in writing how long they had to finish the project. They could be thinking they got 6 months to finish it, and you trying to get it done in a month. But that communication gap was there, and that contract wasn't done. You're about to add anything?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Most of us struggle when it comes to contractors is because we don't have a clear plan. We're trying to get the plan all while we're talking to the contractors at the same time. We're trying to move really, really fast instead of sitting back and doing our due diligence, doing our pre-construction phase. What's our pre-construction phase? That is the time before you start work, where you actually plan. Where you actually
that's your planning phase. Project.
Yeah. Your pre-construction phase is your planning phase, and that helps you understand what your timeline is going to be. That helps you understand how much money do you have allocated for different things. It also helps you, if you're doing it right, if you're spending enough time in that pre-construction phase, you can see, what are my safety hazards? What are the things that I need to start first? You can see, how much am I prepared to spend for materials for certain items, and how much can I prepare to spend on the labor because of my scope. So that pre-construction phase is the most important phase, because if it's not done right, it can cost you thousands in that project just for going over budget.
Yep. Another struggle with contractors is contractors speak a different language. And there's a lot of times when the contractor can say one thing, but you interpret it as something different. Mm-hmm. And it's the same way, other way around. You might say one thing, but the contractor sees it as something totally different.
Yeah. They're saying, Oh, I thought you were telling me to talk.
I wouldn't.
Oh, you're bad.
My bad. Um, you can go.
I don't know now. They do see it as something different than we do, because we didn't clearly map it out. So it's gonna take, in that pre-construction phase, you want to walk through it several times with that contractor. You want to walk through the plan, and then one key nugget that I like to do is tell them, now you tell me back what we're gonna do. You tell me back what the plan is, how we plan on executing this, what that time frame is gonna be, because I want to make sure that everybody's on the same page. And then after that, okay, we're gonna leave and we're gonna put it together and we're gonna make sure it makes sense. Does it make sense for everyone? You may see something where you may feel like, oh, we can do this, and that's not their order. Maybe they want to paint first and then go back and patch it up, or maybe they want to prep first and then go and paint. So having those conversations and meeting that contractor multiple times at the property helps during that pre-construction phase, because at that point there's no assumptions. We're not speaking a different language. We are talking through problems that could arise, and we're making sure we have everything documented.
One of another things that you can struggle with is you can lose your leverage with a contractor. All right, this is a big one. This is a big one. This is a big one. What we mean by lose your leverage is if you give them more money than work has been performed.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So for the Denmarks, if we like to do labor only prices and buy our own material. All right. Reason we like to do that is because that allows us to keep our leverage. And what I mean by that is we don't give contractors money up front to start a project.
That's the absolute first way that you're going to lose money, is by giving them money up front.
Yeah, so if they need money up front to bring their people to the job, that's not your contractors. That's a red flag that something is going on that you don't need to be a part of. Now, if they are doing labor and material, yes, I might give 15, 25% up front. And I would do more frequent paydays than, let's say, most contractors like, hey, give me 50% up front and I'll do everything from there. Like that's a
big risk.
Big risk, big red flag, big no-no. If a contractor needs 50% to start with me, that's not my contractor. And you just got to stand on business when it comes to that. Because every time I lose my leverage with a contractor, the project does not go as planned. All right. So keep your leverage on the contractors. Hold your ground. They're going to always try to get ahead of you.
Yes, they are.
Always. Somebody's always going to jail. Somebody always got something going on in school.
COVID.
Somebody got COVID. Somebody truck don't work. It's always going to be happening, y'all.
Yeah.
Always. But you got to understand that there's a fine line between standing on business and understanding when to give a little bit. In the beginning, stand on business. Because if you give a little bit in the beginning, they're going to always try you.
Mm-hmm.
All right?
Mm-hmm. Dang, I lost my train of thought. Absolutely. They're going to always try you. Let me ask you this question. If you guys have ever had a bad experience with contractors, put me in the chat. If you've ever had a bad experience when it comes to contractors, put me in the chat. I just want to kind of get a poll of who's had some bad experiences.
One of the other things I thought you kind of suggested is you don't control your budget. Like you need to have a running budget at all times of where you are on this project. Don't get caught up just spending money, and you look up at the end of the project and you $20,000 over budget. Like you gotta have a running expense sheet so that you can make decisions based on your current expenses. Because you might have to adjust the project if something went over budget. All right. So make sure that you have a running expense sheet when it comes to your current expenses and how much you are paying the contractor, how much you're paying for the material.
So I see y'all coming in with your me at my personal home, me. Okay. Would you say it was because of one of these things, or one of these your struggles, not having a clear plan, the communication, No, we do not want the name. We do not want the name. Amy has. Okay. So were one of these your struggles?
Did you lose your leverage? Did you not track your expenses? Was there miscommunication? Did
Was
you
there
do
no
a contract?
contract? And look, I can laugh about these things, but I've had contractors to come into the office and they're like, "Oh yeah, I came to pick up my check," and I'm like, "Well, what house you working on?" And they're like, "XYZ." Antonio, did you not have us to put a contract in place? Well, it was just gonna be a quick job, but then they messed up. So now what? No clear plan. Okay, Kiana.
Listen, man, I promise y'all, like the second I don't do it and it don't go right, and I get caught every time. Every time I try to do it, I get caught because it don't go right, y'all.
Mhm.
If you don't hold them accountable, if you don't stand on business, you don't have a clear plan on what's going on, it's gonna be some mess.
And I'm just gonna go a step further. It's not even holding them accountable, it's holding yourself accountable to make sure that you're doing your pre-construction. Valerie said the price kept changing. Absolutely. I understand.
Yep.
All right, we're gonna go into our rehab control method, Tonya. So we developed this rehab control method because of those same scars, those same problems that you guys are having. Those were the scars that we've had. So we had to build something and put something in place to control it, to make sure that at the end of the day, we were staying in control of our project, to make sure that we were staying within budget, and to make sure that we weren't doing this just to say we were doing it, but no, we were doing it because this was the right way to do it and this was the best process.
So how we like to break our projects up is the first thing we like to do is we like to break it up into 80 and 20%. And it sounds a little weird, but just hear me out, all right? We like to give one person 80% of the job. All right. We're not giving him one person 100% of the job. Those are called general contractors. We don't really like to work with general contractors to where they are bringing in all of their own people that's touching every piece of the project because they have a lot of control. What we like to do is we like to make them an 80%. All right. And what that means is they're going to do 80% of the project. All right. Quote unquote, that's our head carpenter type person. All right. The 20% is what we like to call the things that 80%er doesn't do well. All right. What you will find out is contractors will tell you, man, I do this, I do that, I do it all. That's not true. All right. Most contractors can do one or two things very well, and the other stuff they'll hire out or they'll mess it up. All right.
I see y'all in the chat.
So 80% is our head carpenter. That's mainly the guy who's going to paint, do flooring, drywall. Like usually that person can do them type of things. Framing. Usually all those things usually go together. Now the 20% is mainly MEPs. All right. And what MEPs is, actually, I know you like to talk about MEPs.
Mechanical, your electrical, and your plumbing. All right. Those are those trades where there's specialty. All right. Not everybody can do it. Your GC probably can't do it. And if they can do it, they're probably not great at it. All right. They can do it, but it may not pass inspections.
Yes. So we like to take that 20% electrical, plumber, HVAC person, a lot of times the roof persons in that 20%. And we like to give those jobs out separately than the 80%. That way we can keep control of the project. Mm-hmm. A lot of times what your general contractor do is they go to the plumber and they say, hey, how much you would charge me to do XYZ?
I'm going to charge you $6,000.
I'm gonna go to the client and say that's $8,000 to you.
Yeah, because
I'm managing him, and I still get money for managing him. Mm-hmm. Just to be honest with you, but if you want to keep your price down, you go directly to the source, and you get those prices directly from them, and you can negotiate those prices a little better versus with the GC. Mm-hmm. All right. So just an example of our 80%. things that our 80% don't like to do that goes to the 20%. Our 80% does not like to do yard work. Landscaping, tree cutting, none of that. That's automatically going to our 20% side. So we got to find somebody to do our landscaping.
My 80%er doesn't like to install countertops. So we have the countertop guy that does all of our countertops. Our 80%er doesn't do well with plumbing and electrical all the time.
So that goes over
to it.
Yeah, he don't do no HVAC. So like all those is the 20% section, all right? But the other stuff he does very well.
Yes.
And that's just our guy. So that's just a template. And you might find somebody who don't mind doing landscaping, but they're weak at tile. Mm-hmm. So your tile will be in the 80%. All right. So just keep that in mind. We break it down 80-20. All right. So we're always building our sub inventory of different people so they can be used where they need to be used at. Mm-hmm. All right. We like to break our project down into material costs and a labor cost. You smile, Ashley.
No, I'm just picturing it. Go.
We like to break our project down to material and labor. That way we know how much to award that contractor for labor only. All right. So if we're painting and I got a budget of $2,000 to paint and I know my paint costs $600, then I know that the labor only price is going to be $1,600. So if I'm getting prices of $2,500 and $3,000, I know that's not my guy. Also, I know that if my budget is $1,600, $1,400, then I know that when I call him out there, I can tell him my budget before he even get there.
And if he can't do it for 14, there's no reason for him to even come out. You ain't even got to sell me on something that I don't have room for. So you can stay wherever you are because I already know, because I did my pre-construction phase. I already know what I can pay for. And I also know that there's people who can do it for that price. So if you're going to charge me $3,500 to paint and I only know I got $1,400 left, then hey, don't worry about it. We'll try this. I'll get someone else to come out. And I'm going to keep getting people until I get to my number because that's how much I have. I don't want to, for everything that I do, come out the pocket because now I'm not in control of my rehab.
All right. So that's material cost. And one thing I do want to make sure I say is everything doesn't have to be labor and material. All right. Mm-hmm. Depending on that contract. I can tell you for my granite, I don't do labor and material. I just do one cost because granite is granite. It comes together like that. For my, what else comes together? HVAC.
HVAC is typically going to come together.
So typically come together. Now, do I know how much an HVAC costs? Yes, because I've researched it and I've done a homework. But I try to let them pick the HVAC because they're going to give me a warranty.
Plumbing usually comes, depending on what parts of plumbing, but they usually come as a package deal because you don't know what type of fittings are going to be the right fittings. So you can, if you don't feel comfortable with them having the labor and material, then I would tell them, get me a material list with the prices so that I can still back out my material costs.
Yep. So understand that some stuff is just going to be labor material together. And on those things, remember, we might have to give a small deposit to get going. Like, I don't want them to go in the hole buying my stuff.
Buy my materials to get the project started.
I want it to be as fair as possible.
Yeah. All right, you got a question.
Yes.
And I want you guys to drop your
questions. Ask your questions now.
Yeah. Drop your questions in the chat. Valerie says, do you tell them your budget up front? Yes, but to a certain extent. So Antonio told you after he backed out his paint costs, then $1,400 was all that he had for that budget. I'm not gonna tell him I got $1,400. I'm probably gonna tell him I got $1,200, maybe $1,150 for it, and they're gonna probably negotiate me to about $1,350, and I'm gonna be like, well, good, I saved $50. Like,
yes. So I'm if I tell them a budget, I'm not telling them my true budget. Mm-hmm. But I like to lead with, es- especially if I'm confident in the area. I like to lead with, this is how much I have budgeted for, and we can work from there. Now, let's say that I'm doing an area and I'm not really confident in the price. The concrete job she was talking about, I ain't really that good at concrete because I don't do it that much. The first 2 or 3 people that come out, I might say, hey, how much would you charge me? I might ask for a quote or an estimate. But after I get those quotes or estimates, now everybody else I meet after that, I'm putting the price on because I'm setting my price after that.
So just to kind of walk in a little deeper, for example, if we could do the concrete, say that when you asked me for my price, it was 3,000, and then the other person who you asked, they were 3,500. Now you know what ballpark you're in, so you can tell the next person, hey, can you do it for 2,500? To get it a little lower. If they say no, well, I got somebody that can do it for 3,000, but if you can do it for cheaper than that, then I can roll with you.
That's just how it works. If you ever get into a situation where you're only asking for quotes, your project is always going to be high. It's always going to be high. My guy in Miami, KC, he doing a project. He got one. He asked the guy for a quote. I think the guy told him 160. So by the time he got through negotiating and maneuvering, I think it was down to 105. So like, they are going to shoot for the stars. All right. If you present yourself as a retail client, they are going to treat you as a retail client. All right. But you have to understand that you are a wholesale client when it comes to these rehab, because you are a part of a network that always need contractors, and we're always looking for people to do work. You're always going to have work. We're not a one-off type client. You are not neither. You are a part of a network. All right. So if you treat me good, I'm gonna refer you to the people in my network, and you're never going to go without work. Now, you might not get rich off of 1 or 2 of my jobs, but you'll make it up with the consistency of jobs over time.
Yeah.
We're not buying 1 property a year. We're buying 5 to 10 properties a year. Plus, my friends are buying properties. So you're going to always have work. That's how you talk to them. That's how you get $5,000, $10,000 price reductions, just like that.
Instantly. You're welcome. Thank you, Ann. Thank you, Tamika. Oh, I see y'all. Okay. So we talked about the 80/20 scope of work. We talked about material versus labor cost breakdown. Next is our draw process breakdown. So this became a really big scar because we had a crew that every Friday, like clockwork, no matter if all they did was pressure wash the driveway for that week, they expected a paycheck every Friday. So we had to start treating our contractors the way our lenders treat us. And we had to start putting milestones in place because we were eating through so much money and not keeping control of our budget by paying them every Friday for little things or things that wasn't even completed, but they was trying to get a little bit of it, like kind of like as if they were working a 9 to 5 with us when it wasn't. Whether they showed up or not, they wanted a check. And so we created a draw process, and what that draw process is checkpoints on exactly what's done and when payouts will be. So, for example, we expect for your first payment, we expect you to do ABC. All right. When ABC is completed, then you'll get $5,000. That's your payout. If ABD is completed, you haven't completed ABC, so you can't get your 5,000. So it allowed us to control the project so that the contractors weren't jumping all over the place and doing a little bit in draw 1, a little bit in draw 3, none of draw 2, and now we just had a project that was just all out of order.
Yes, you gotta control the process of what's being done, and you gotta understand the flow of it. Now, if there's just one way to do it, No, different contractors like different ways. But what we like to do is present our initial draw process and let them edit it. All right. And what I mean by that is we might have interior paint in draw one, exterior paint in draw two. He might say, hey, can we flip those two?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to ask why. And he might say, hey, my crew that does this, they're not going to be available. Or I got a crew right now that can jump on that. But as long as we're on the same page, we cool. That's the most important thing. We agree on this process and how it's going to go. So you know what you need to be doing. You know what you don't need to be doing, because it's so frustrating to have somebody install a tile and you ain't painted yet, or your flows down, you ain't painted just because they trying to do stuff to get money for Friday.
Mm-hmm.
They trying to do anything they can do to get money. All right.
And I brought up the pressure wash, but we had a contractor that literally on day one of the project, because it was on the scope, he pressure washed the driveway. And we were so furious. And he was like, well, I did what was on the scope. Dude, that's at the end. Like, we don't have spots from the paint on the driveway by the time you paint the exterior.
We're going to have oil stains on the
driveway.
driveway.
We're going to have oil stains. We don't have everything on this driveway. Like, what are we doing? But that was because we didn't spend the time. And we didn't spend the time breaking down, okay, what do we want you to do first? What do we want you to do second? And what do we want you to do third? Most draw processes are about 3 different draws. Can you do more? Yes. Can you do less? Yes. But I find at 3, it's just enough so that you don't lose focus. 3 different sections. Do this first set, do the second first set, and now we're at the finish line. Versus saying, okay, you got to do everything in draw 1. Sometimes their attention span isn't focused and dived in enough to do everything at one time. If you gotta have more draws, that's fine. Don't stress about that. But if you can, 3 draws.
Yep.
So we talked about this, Tonya, the 80-20. If you want to, I don't think there's anything that you didn't say on that. Yeah, anything you missed?
Scope of work. All right. When you are dealing with contractors that we deal with in this investment world, most of those contractors are not what we call A contractors. All right. Most of those contractors are B and C level contractors. Most B and C level contractors, they don't have the back office to create you a scope of work. So you have to become the A contractor and create the scope of work for them and let them just adjust off of that. That's the best way, because if a person can create you a scope of work, then their price is more likely going to be higher, because somebody got to be paid for creating that scope of work. A lot of times contractors really not the best at reading and writing. So you're asking them to do something they're not comfortable
outside of their comfort zone. Yeah.
All right. So keep in mind, get in the habit of creating your own scope of work, whether that's for the 80% or the 20% people. If I got an electrical work, I'm going to create a small scope of work for that electrician so he can see what I need. Mm-hmm. Change out plugs, change out switches, change out lights in these rooms. Or if I'm adding a plug here, that scope of work is going to be for the electrician. I'm not going to give him my complete scope of work because they can't handle all that. All right. You got to give them what they're looking at doing. Mm-hmm. I literally talked to a plumber today, and he was over there looking at adding my gas lines. But he like, oh man, why they did the plug like that? I don't know, but that's not what we're talking about.
That's not your concern.
That's not why whoever's doing that will handle that. I need you to tell me about these gas lines. That's what I need you to tell me about. All right. So have them focus on what they're focused on.
All right. Deidre says she missed the 80-20. So 80-20, I'm going to go over it real quick without going too much in detail, but I'll make sure you get the replay for it. The 80-20 scope of work means when you separate your scope of work based off of 80% who's doing the majority of your work and 20%. Your 20% is usually your specialty, Usually that may be your landscaper, it may be your granite person, it may be your electrician, your plumber, your HVAC specialist, where they're not doing the entire job, but you're sectioning out some of your big ticket items, some of your MEPs, so that you can get a cheaper deal for it. Another 20% we didn't talk about is foundation specialist.
Yes.
That's a heavy 20%.
Yeah. And a lot of times it's multiple fold on why we like to do 20%. We can get cheaper prices.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We can build relationships with these 20% people, and we can plug them into our projects a lot smoother. And let's say something happens with the 80% person, it doesn't affect my 20% person. I don't got to reman my whole job. All I got to do is find another 80% person.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So that's a couple reasons why we like to break it up that way.
And it typically doesn't hurt my timeline, because if, for example, my exterior is supposed to be getting painted, but it's raining, I can move one of my 20%ers to do something else so that I am still staying on time when it comes to my project. And I'm staying on time, but on time and on budget, because every day counts. From the moment you get that loan, every day counts in that rehab.
Yeah. So if we do 5 things in a 20% and we just save $1,000 each, that's $5,000 to $6,000 easy. That's the difference between I can find a deal and I can't find a deal.
Mm-hmm.
That's the difference. It's just because I got a good 20% roster, I can get some deals done.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point, Sonia. All right. We talked about our triangle. You kind of hinted on this, building a relationship with your contractor. Your contractors need to be in your close friends list. All right. So like on Instagram, they need to be on your close friends list. They need to be the people who you talk to every week. All right. Intentional conversations, intentional checking up on them, because they are the lifeline of your rehab. They are the lifeline of your business. So Monday morning, I need to be the first person my contractor talk to. All right. I need to know, do you need anything from me this week? Like, how you doing this week? What's your plans? How's your family doing? How's your kids doing? Tell your wife I said, hey, y'all, we got an event. Won't y'all show up? Won't y'all come to? Like, every way that you can build a relationship with them, you need to. Because you guys are going to be spending a lot of time together, a lot of money together, and you need to be able to see and think on one accord.
I don't see my 80% a lot, because now I got a quality control guy that kind of does a lot of the boots on the ground stuff for me. But sometimes I do go to the project and when we see each other, we just hug. But it's like, that's my boy. Like he can call me if he needs something. He can call me.
Yes.
And understand now, there's a difference between him calling me saying, hey, this is a real example. Hey, I'm done with draw 2. I've done a few things in draw 3. I know I'm supposed to get 5,000, but can I get 7,000 because I've done a few things? No. That's a flat out no. I'm not going to break our contract. I'm not going to break how we've set things up. I'm not going to lose that leverage. But if he called me and say, hey, I need $1,500, my light shouldn't be cut off.
Got it.
He got it.
Ashley,
those are 2 separate things.
Coming to meet you.
Ask gonna bring it to you right now. Don't even worry about it. Hey, my truck broke down. I need some transportation. That's a total different. That's relationship building. Mm-hmm. That lets him know we care about him. That lets him know that he's important to us. Mm-hmm. That goes so much farther along when it comes to building your business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and most people don't know about it, but yeah, true story. If whatever they need, you need to be able to help them. You need to let them know that you have their back, because you want them to have your back at the end of the day as well. Absolutely. Be present on your projects, all right? If you can't be present, then you need to have somebody that can be present. But you need to be stepping foot on this project, or somebody at least once a day, okay? At minimum once a day doing active rehab. Why so much time? It's because there's so many little decisions that are being made. And if you don't show up, if you're not present, then it's going to slow the project down, because it shows that it's not important to you. So it's not going to be important to them. You may not like the results of some of the things that's done, but because you're so far out from visit one to visit two, there's no way they can come back up and clean it up or fix those things because you not showing up at your projects. So make sure you're there. Also, showing up at your projects makes them show up at your projects. And you also know if they didn't show up at your project. You don't have to guess. Now, I didn't see you this week. I didn't see you today. Do I need to get someone else? Like you can have those conversations because you're present.
Every so often we do like one-on-one clients. And I would probably say one of our best one-on-one clients was Marcus. And Marcus would work inside of his car, outside of the project.
Laptop up.
So like
in that
he was at this project all day, every day.
Mm-hmm.
But he learned so much because he was watching everything they was doing. He was questioning every piece of material they bought. But literally, now you talk to him, man, he sounds like a seasoned pro. But it's because he put in that time in the beginning to learn that stuff. And it was uncomfortable. Like, there was a lot of uncomfortable conversations because some stuff, it didn't really make sense in the beginning. But now it's a whole lot different. Mm-hmm. But being at the project, if they were going too long on a lunch break,
he's like, wait a minute.
Hey,
what time?
We got deadlines to meet.
What kind of lunch break? He asked, what kind of lunch breaks do y'all have? Because I only get 30, 45 minutes at my project, at my job. So what kind of lunch breaks do y'all get?
Yep. So understand, you gotta be to these projects. If you're not at the project and it don't go right, you can't blame nobody but yourself.
Absolutely.
I don't care how good your paperwork is. I don't care how much you communicate on the phone with them. You got to put your feet on them projects and see what's going on. Mm-hmm. That speaks more than anything you can do.
And don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to pay attention to everything, okay? But ask them, like, what do you think? Get their advice on it because you don't want it to feel like a dictatorship. You want it to you want to grow that relationship. You want to grow that relationship with them because you're going to use them for a long time.
At the end of the day, it is a dictatorship, all right? Because it's your money, it's your project, it's your livelihood on the line. Okay, right? But that doesn't mean you can't listen to them. Chris Terrell House, we talk about with the driveway. We had one guy out there, we were trying to find a way to put the laundry room. And he had a great idea. He said, man, we can take this laundry room, put it on this back porch, we'll frame it up, it'll be ready to go.
Yeah, how much is that going to cost?
How much that's going to cost, sir? Versus putting that laundry room on this side of the wall, inside of the building already. At first, he was arguing, yeah, it's about the same price. And as we got to asking questions, like, okay, you got to frame it up.
You got
some wood.
You got to extend the roof line.
You got to extend the roof line. You got to buy some shingles. You got to run new electrical, new plumbing.
You got to make sure the foundation is secure.
But by the time we got through asking those questions, like, yeah, we'll just put it right here by the back door.
Yeah, like, I'm about to spend $10,000 for 200 square feet. This is crazy.
But you got to listen to them, and then you could be on the same page if you don't like it.
Mm-hmm. All right, we're going to dive a little bit deeper into the draw process just to make sure we didn't miss anything, but to also show them how to structure it. All right. So this is our draw process when we are breaking it down. All right. We like to break it down in 3 phases, again, because it's bite-sized. It's easy for the contractor to digest. It's easy for you to remember that it's only 3 payments versus 10. And you don't have to say, well, did I pay you payment 4 yet? Payment 5? It's 3 payments. All right. It's real simple. All right. So payment 1 is usually your demo. Making sure demo is completed and making sure if you pull the permit that rough are passed. That word right there, pass, is so freaking important. All right. Don't do nothing else until the city has signed off and passed my rough. We're not making any extra initial payments until that's done because a contractor can say the work is done and then the city can come out and say, oh, but no, you need to do this. Oh, no, this slope isn't right. There's so many factors that can happen. And if you've already paid them for it before it's passed, there's no incentive for them to come back.
Yep. So that is so important to make sure that those roughs are passed. After that, in draw two, that's when we like to do drywall, we like to do paint, we like to do fixtures, we like to install tile. Flooring can be in draw at the end of draw two, but sometimes it might go to draw three depending on the other stuff. But flooring can be in that section also. All right. So this is not the finish of the project necessarily. This is the bulk of it because you still might have some little things lingering around. All right.
That last 10% of your project is the hardest one. I had a friend the other day and he said, I promise you, every time I step back in this house, I see something different. And I'm like, well, what you're not going to do is you're not going to let all these little 1% stop you from getting on the market. Like, it's time to get it on the market. We can fix a few of those things while it's on the market, but we have to go because it's like when you fix one thing, now that thing was so big to you, it caught your attention, but now other things are now catching your attention because you fixed that one thing. So listen, you can fix a house forever. All right, forever. It can nickel and dime your pockets forever. You have to get it on the market or get a tenant in there. Okay.
Yep.
You want to make sure, and that's why it's important to pass those MEPs, to get your city signed off. They checking the plugs, they checking the drains, they're checking all of the major things, the foundation, they're checking all of those major things. Everything else is cosmetic. You can fix it. All right. Someone said, what MEPs are in the first draw? All of them.
Mm-hmm.
All of them.
The rough part of it. Yeah. So when we say rough, and let me kind of break it down. If you are rewiring a house, all right, what's considered the rough is the running of the wires, the connection of the panel, and if you're upgrading your wire outside, that's the rough. When you are actually installing the actual plug, when you're installing the actual switch, when you're installing the actual light, that's not a part of the rough. That will come after you pass the rough. All right. So if you're doing plumbing, you're gonna run all your water lines,
and your
drains and those things. That's your rough. But when it's time for the final, you're going to put your toilets in. You're going to put your vanities and your faucets in. You're going to install your kitchen faucets. All right. Your shower valves. All right. Those things will be installed as a part of the final. So there's two steps to it. If you are doing a total rewire or you're doing a replumb or you're putting in a whole new HVAC system. So you might put just the ductwork in as a part of the rough and maybe the air handler. You might not put the outside unit in. So, like, there's two major parts. There's rough and then there's finals.
Mm-hmm. So, look, we could definitely get you our replay. And, you know, if you guys want a sample of
our binder,
put binder in the chat. And what we'll do is we'll send you a sample of our binder and how we set up everything so that it is easy to make it so that you're not starting from scratch. So put binder in the chat and we'll send you everything. I'll break down
the contract in there too.
The contract, the draw. Yeah. Put binder in the chat. Okay, so I feel like we did this.
All right.
In the binder.
There you go. Right over here, girl. You roll right into it.
We have our contract. We have our scope of work, our scope of work template. So that way we're not building it from scratch. We like to use the template ourselves because it lets us do things faster. We are all about time, all right? Efficiency and time. So it allows us to do it faster. It also has lien waivers and change orders because somebody up top said that their price kept changing and your price can only change if you agree to it. And that has to be done through a change order. So making sure that you have your change orders in place so that there's a reason why that price is changing. And then what's that payment schedule going to look like? Am I paying you one lump sum at the end? Am I paying you 3 different payments? What am I paying you? And what do you have to accomplish for me to pay you? I like for them to give me invoices so that I can keep track of it. So I pre-fill out these invoices or I'll send them to them electronically if they don't have it. So that way we're not playing the game of, okay, I know you told me 5, but I really think I should get, like Antonio said, 7 because of this project. No, we said 5, we'll pay 5, and we're gonna go from there. Wait, I see y'all. I see y'all. Absolutely. I see y'all with your binders. I see y'all with your binders. And then a list of the items that they're not supposed to do. So this helps keep them in place. All right. Now let me say this. With this rehab binder, you're gonna have to do some upfront work. So like your material list, you'll see ours, but you may want something different. So just go in as you're doing it and just update it to fit you. All right.
And a lot of times people who have not done a project, they feel like the biggest challenge is money. All right. Understand your biggest challenge isn't money. All right. Your biggest challenge is knowledge. That's the biggest challenge. It's not money. Money's all around you. All right. Money is probably the easiest part to getting your first real estate deal. But it's the knowledge to understand I got to find the right contractors. It's the knowledge to understand that how do I find the right contractors? It's the knowledge to understand how do I find the right properties? It's the knowledge to understand, do I do a property that's $100,000 rehab? What can come about that? So it's not money, it's knowledge. All right. Understanding how to work with contractors, it is a skill, y'all, that it only gets better with experience.
Yeah, it gets better over time. So don't get frustrated. For everyone who is frustrated about, they had a not so good experience, it's probably because we didn't do our due diligence. There's always something in an experience that we were able to control. All right. So the moment you learn how to take accountability for it, adjust you before you adjust them, adjust you, the next one will be better. All right. So always ask myself, what could I have done differently? What could I have done better? Adjust you. And then whether that adjustment is getting a contract in place because you didn't do a contract, you did a handshake before. But adjust you first. All right. Binder and recording, please. Absolutely, Amy. I see you, Kieta. Absolutely. All right. Y'all got any questions? Any questions before we leave? Anything that you need better clarity on?
We do have a meetup tomorrow at City Club downtown. It's a free event. We would love for everybody to come out, network, meet some people, get around some like-minded people, and have a good time. Shake our hand. We see y'all on Zoom and the trainings, but it'd be good to see y'all in person.
Absolutely. Doors open at 5:30. Event starts at 6. There's free parking in the garage, so just come on, make some time. Like Antonio said, we would definitely love to.
Sean Stone will be talking about subject tools and creative financing and how they built the whole business around that model.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ann. Thank you, guys. All right. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. Well, we love y'all. We'll see y'all next time.
Peace.